Hello, my name is Pamela Rose and today we're going to be looking at naming of chords and their positions. Before we start, please make sure that you've seen my session on tonic triads and their positions, as it's going to be imperative that you know that before we really get into this. So we do know how to make a tonic triad. It's the first, third and fifth note of the scale. But we're not limited to making triads just on the tonic. We can make a triad on every single note of the scale. So in C major, we can make a tonic triad obviously on the first one, but then a triad on D, which is the second note of the scale, a triad on E, the third, a triad on F, which is the fourth note of the scale, a triad on G, which is the fifth note of the scale, a triad on A, B, and back to C, which is the first note of the scale again. In grade 5, we need to recognise chords in the position of chord 1, or whether it's on the second note, D, or whether it's a triad on the fourth note, F, or a triad on the fifth note, G. The different positions of a chord, which I covered in my session on tonic triads, will either be root position, or first inversion, or second inversion. Those three different positions will be labelled up in root position with a little A, in the first inversion with a little B, and in the second inversion with a little C. If you're still unsure of this, please go back to my session on tonic triads. To recognise any of these chords, we first need to look at the key signature. This is something we need to do all the time when we're looking at music. We need to know what key we're in. If you're not sure how to do this, please go back to my session on the circle of fifths, where I've covered it in great detail. So we find out what key we're in. Say we're in C major, we find chord 1, we say it's C, E and G. Chord 2 will be D, F and A. Chord 4 will be F, A and C, and chord 5 will be G, B and D. I want you to write all those letter names down attached to their chord numbers so that you can clearly see them. Notice we're in the key of C major, so when I do the chord on D, it starts on D, we don't have an F sharp. We keep in the key of C major and we will have no sharps or flats on any of these chords. Let's take, for example, this chord, B, D and G. We're in the key of C major, we've established that. We need to find out which chord, either 1, 2, 4 or 5, has those notes B, D and G in it. We find it's chord 5, so we can immediately write the Roman numeral 5. But now we need to find what position this is in. It's got a B at the bottom. Then it's got a D and a G. If we were in root position, so position A of G major, the fifth chord of C major, if we were in position A, the G would be at the bottom. Position B has the B at the bottom. That's the one we've got. Position C has the D at the bottom. So we can label this chord up in the key of C major as 5B. Just to recap, find the key you're in. Write out the names of chords 1, 2, 4 and 5 so they're easily seen by you. Then find out what your lowest note is to find the position. If the lowest note is the first note of the chord, you'll be in position A. If the lowest note is the second note of the chord, you'll be in position B, and if the lowest note is the third note of the chord, will be in position C. So now we know how to name the chords and their positions. My next session is going to be on cadential points, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.